Russia has a new secret ally that helps Moscow with up to 5 billion weekly. Who is this and what exactly is it about? We'll find out right now. Ukraine was attacked on all fronts. Daggers, calibers, drones, attacks on energy infrastructure and cities. There is an emergency power outage in Kyiv and Dnipro. There's an air raid alert across the country. Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are offering Trump hundreds of billions of dollars and access to rare earths, while Russia and China are watching from the sidelines. An entire continent is in Washington's hands. Trump is celebrating victory. How Central Asian leaders became messengers of wealth, details and amounts in our broadcast. The hunt for Yevgeny Prigozhin. The CIA began surveillance with the aim of neutralizing the former head of the Wagner PMC. We will discuss all of this and other important events in the political world in our broadcast today. Stay with us. Details are coming soon. On the night of November 7th to 8th, one of the most large-scale combined missile and drone strikes in recent times was launched on the territory of Ukraine. Ukrainian monitoring resources reported the takeoff of MiG aircraft from Russian territory. This type of aircraft is used as a carrier for the hypersonic Kinzhal missile, which is designed to strike strategic and fortified targets. After the takeoff message appeared, an air raid alert was declared in Kyiv and then spread to almost all regions of the country. As the first hour of the night began, air situation tracking resources recorded the movement of various types of missiles. Initially, the movement of caliber missiles over the Kirovohrad region was noted heading towards the Cherkasy region. Later, data appeared about the flight of a Kinzhal missile towards Kremenchuk. Then, reports from monitoring channels indicated the passage of Kalibor missiles through the Vinnytsia region, followed by their movement towards the Zhytomyr region. Simultaneously, reports of explosions began coming in from different regions of Ukraine. Explosions were recorded in Kyiv, the Kyiv region, Kharkiv, and Dnipro. According to video footage and eyewitness accounts, the strike was of a combined nature. Initially, Ukrainian air defense attempted to repel the mass launch of Geran strike drones, which placed an additional burden on target detection and tracking systems. After that, missiles, including the Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, entered the airspace without significant resistance. According to the channel, a person turned in the war around 1:30 in the morning was hit by 3 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles at a target in the city of Vasilkiv, Kyiv region. It is assumed that the target could have been a military airfield. However, there has been no official confirmation of this information. A few minutes later, another strike was made by a Kinzhal missile. Then came the 5th launch. Almost simultaneously, Kaliber missiles were heading in the same direction, which allowed for a series of strikes on targets that Ukrainian sources call military. Ukrainian resources also reported strikes on Kremenchuk and the city of Kryvyi Rih. Around 2:05 a.m., new data appeared about the takeoff of MiG aircraft, which could indicate the possible continued use of hypersonic missiles. Amid the strikes, emergency power outages began. Restrictions were introduced in Kyiv, Cherkasy, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. Ukrainian energy companies reported damage to energy facilities. According to local reports, an Iskander missile hit a gas infrastructure facility in the Poltava region, the consequences of which are being assessed by emergency services. By midnight, drones had attacked again, targeting Dnipro. Several new explosions were recorded in Kharkiv at the same time. The Ukrainian side reported that some of the missiles were intercepted, but confirmed damage to the energy infrastructure The Kyiv city administration stated that air defense systems performed to the best of their technical capabilities. According to authorities, restoration work is underway at several sites. Energy services have begun to localize the consequences and reconnect consumers to backup power lines. The extent of the damage will be assessed after the inspection of the damaged objects is completed. As of the morning of November 8th, Ukrainian emergency services are continuing to analyze the consequences of the strike and clarify information about the damage. As of November 8th, it will be 39 days since the start of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. A government shutdown is a temporary suspension of the operation of part of the government if Congress fails to pass a budget or temporary funding. Within this situation, a number of programs, including foreign arms supplies, have been suspended. This circumstance has become a factor that can be indirectly considered as support for Russia, as Ukraine is currently not receiving the planned supplies. While the technical specifications of the Tomahawk cruise missiles, which were to be supplied from the United States, were being discussed in Ukraine, the American administration was facing an internal funding crisis. The shutdown is caused either by a lack of agreement in Congress on the budget or by the president's disagreement with specific spending items. As a result, most government institutions were temporarily suspended, and processes related to arms exports and international support were frozen. Each week, the shutdown costs the American economy approximately $5 billion. This number includes expenses for unused contracts, procurement stoppages, and delays in the implementation of federal programs. Under these conditions, any new commitments, including arms supplies to Ukraine, are postponed until internal budget approval is completed. For Kyiv, this means a delay in receiving equipment and weapons that were considered a factor in strengthening the country's defense capabilities. In this context, Russia gains the opportunity to temporarily reduce pressure on the front lines. Delays in arms deliveries are reducing the number of new systems available to the Ukrainian army and are giving the Russian side additional time to conduct operations without facing increased enemy armament. Analysts estimate that the shutdown is acting as an unintentional ally, limiting the speed and volume of aid Ukraine could receive from external partners. Thus, the shutdown in the United States, although an internal crisis, has a direct impact on the dynamics of the armed conflict. While American lawmakers and the executive branch are resolving financial issues, Ukraine is facing a pause in the flow of external military support. The Ukrainian side has not officially commented on the consequences of the shutdown for arms supplies. However, experts note that the lack of coordinated supplies is slowing down the pace of defense infrastructure upgrades. At the Central Asia Plus United States Summit, the presidents of the region's republics arrived in Washington with specific proposals. Each country prepared rich gifts, including the development of rare earth deposits and diplomatic assurances of friendly cooperation. The summit of Central Asian presidents and Donald Trump was a demonstration of the desire to strengthen ties with the United States. At the meeting held on November 6th, the president of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, highly praised Donald Trump's role. Mr. President, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you for organizing this truly historic meeting at the White House, and I firmly believe that you, Mr. President, are a great leader, a statesman sent from heaven to restore the common sense and traditions that we all share and value. Tokayev spoke in English from a prepared text. His voice was trembling, and Trump was listening condescendingly, accepting the gifts brought by the Kazakh side. Senators Rubio and Evans, who were sitting next to each other, remained neutral, recording the meeting's minutes. The United States and Kazakhstan have reached a deal worth approximately $7 billion. The agreement was received ambiguously in Kazakhstan. Experts point to growing economic dependence and the risk of losing control over resources. Publicist Aljan Ismagulov noted the contrast. The US is imposing sanctions and blocking funds, while Kazakhstan is providing access to critical minerals and land. China has relaxed its rare earth metal export rules, but supplies are limited, forcing countries in the region to attract foreign companies to develop their own deposits. American corporations will be granted the right to extract tungsten from the largest undeveloped deposits in the Karaganda region. Donald Trump called it a victory for the US and an important step towards securing access to critical resources. Washington had previously threatened Astana with high trade tariffs, which increased political pressure on the negotiation. Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev emphasized that the United States is one of the key investors in the country's economy and a major consumer of Kazakh uranium. Uzbekistan also participated in the summit. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev thanked Washington for its attention to the region and announced 8 agreements signed, ranging from geological exploration and the implementation of water-saving technologies to cooperation in the field of artificial intelligence. Uzbekistan plans to invest nearly $35 billion in the coming years and over $65 billion in the long term. Meanwhile, Uzbekistan's national debt already exceeds $43 billion. The U.S. national debt is $38 trillion, but this has not been an obstacle to agreements. For Central Asian states, cooperation with the U.S. is a way to strengthen foreign policy ties and attract investment without severing relations with Russia and China. The president of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahmon, noted the presence of over 70 companies with American capital in the country, and Turkmenistan's leader, Serdar Berdimuhamedov, stated the need to continue regular meetings in this format. Mirziyoyev expressed hope that the United States will be able to contribute to the settlement of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. According to analysts, such agreements could have negative consequences for Russia. Trump is seeking to use Central Asian countries as a tool of pressure, gradually pushing out Moscow and weakening its influence in the region. Foreign and Ukrainian media reported that Washington is studying data about the possible appearance of Yevgeny Prigozhin in Venezuela. According to sources, information about his presence in the country was received by American intelligence agencies, and the U.S. is reportedly discussing response options, including a special operation involving Marine units. British media, including the Daily Mail, have claimed that Prigozhin may be alive and in Venezuela. Some publications suggest that the air crash death might have been staged. Similar versions were circulated by Ukrainian military intelligence, claiming that the plane crash could have been part of Prigozhin's planned emergence from the shadows. Indirect evidence is emerging in the information space, including reports of flights by planes linked to the Wagner PMC, photos and videos of men resembling Prigozhin, and mentions of his doubles and forged documents. The Washington Post also considered the possibility of a staged death and drew attention to financial documents where payments continued to be made in Prigozhin's name. American sources claim that confirmation of Prigozhin's presence in Venezuela could complicate U.S. plans in the region. The media is reporting on Donald Trump's dissatisfaction and his demands to evaluate options for action. Separate publications indicate a personal motive for Prigozhin's desire to avenge the United States for events in Syria, where an American strike on Wagner positions resulted in casualties among the mercenaries. However, there are no official confirmations. Experts note that most claims are based on weak sources, often without direct evidence of the person's identity in the photos or videos. In the US, Russia, and other countries, it is emphasized that there is no verified information about Prigozhin's whereabouts, and the operational response of the special services under discussion is not subject to disclosure. Conclusion, there is still a lot of information noise surrounding the topic. The media continue to publish versions and assumptions. However, there is no confirmation yet that Prigozhin is alive and in Venezuela. Friends, subscribe to the channel and like the videos. See you tomorrow on air. Thank you all for watching. See you soon.